Available now from Arrow Video in separate 4K UHD HDR editions and regular Blu-ray editions is from 1996, Tremors 2 Aftershocks. Now, I'm a big fan of Tremors. I saw Tremors, I think 1990, maybe 1991. I lived near Dartmouth. They were having a thing called Monsters on the Prowl, and it was a Halloween screening of a bunch of monster stuff and a movie. And the movie was Tremors. And at the time, Tremors really didn't do well in the theaters. It kind of tanked in theaters. It came and it went. And we had gone, my friends and I, to see Tremors, and we were like, yeah, that might be fun. And we loved it. It was great. And the movie, subsequently became a huge hit on home video, which greenlit sequel, which was what we're here to talk about, Tremors 2 Aftershocks. I never watched any of the sequels to Tremors because I always had this thing about straight to video in my head. That thing is relaxed a lot more now than it used to be, but it was always, if it wasn't good enough to be in theaters, it's not going to be as good. It's just straight to video garbage. And this went straight to video, and then I guess at least 6 or 7 more have been made since then. I believe Michael Gross is in all of them, reprising his Burt Gummer role. This is the first of those sequels. So this is something that has been, a decade or more in the making, me finally seeing this. I'm not great with math. 2023 minus 1990. It's been a decade or more since this came out. And, but this was fun. This was really fun. I liked this. This was one that I got to review and I'm like, I guess I'll watch it and get rid of it. And this is actually one I'm going to keep. So you can buy this either as a 4K UHD set or as a Blu-ray set. So they're separate. Directed by S.S. Wilson, who was the co-producer, and he produced the original Tremors. He was the co-writer on the original Tremors, so he was always part of the Tremors team. And it stars Fred Ward comes back, and Michael Gross comes back, and Helen Shaver is the new sort of Fred Ward love interest. I guess Kevin Bacon didn't want to come back for this movie. He didn't like the original Tremors. He thought it was a bad movie. He's since come around to that, but apparently they approached him, and he was not interested in doing it. So this time out, we have a different younger guy with Fred Ward, a different, younger, kind of dumb guy with Fred Ward, and this time instead of Kevin Bacon getting the love interest, Fred Ward does. So this is 4K UHD, HDR, and Blue. Yeah, as I already said. It's English 4.0 surround or English 2.0 stereo. And basically the deal with this is that the film opens on an oil field somewhere in Mexico, and the graboids have resurfaced, and are causing havoc. And so somebody from the oil company comes up to wherever Earl Bassett, portrayed by Fred Ward, is living, who's now sort of raising ostriches and gazing at a former wall of fame from when he was famous for killing the graboids the first time, but he's sort of on the skids. This guy finds him. With him is some kind of a super fan of Earl, apparently, this young guy who becomes the Kevin Bacon stand-in for this film, basically. And they say, we'll pay you like $50,000 per graboid that you kill to come down and get rid of these things. So not being one to want to turn down money when in need, they go down and Helen Shaver, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. Helen Shaver is a geologist who's working for the company, and they all just wind up, the graboids are everywhere. And this time, they've mutated. I'm just going to say that this time they've mutated to become an even bigger threat. So it's more of the same in a sense. It's down home good old boys trying to figure out how to kill giant monsters somewhere in a slightly different terrain. You get some grassy hillsides and stuff in this, and it's fun. It's lower. I'm not going to say lower scale because the first one all took place in the desert in one town, but it's clearly less money they're working with for this film, but they put it in the right place because it's fun. I watched this on a Saturday afternoon, and I'm thinking while I'm watching this movie, this is like a perfect Saturday afternoon monster movie. This is the kind of thing I would have watched on TV as a kid, a decade earlier than when this movie came out. I was Saturday afternoons watching Creature Double Feature and watching monster movies and TV movies and all kinds of stuff. Fits perfectly in with that. Once again, Burt Gummer is back. Michael Gross is back as the military, this well-armed survivalist, and he gets a lot more to do in this film, and he's a heck of a lot of fun. It's just great to see him again. They explain that Val, who's the Kevin Bacon character, he's married and living a happy life, and he doesn't want anything to do with this, which was more or less true of Kevin Bacon at the time. So we have that younger partner. Very good effects, good practical effects. There is some CGI that was done by the Phil Tippett studio. Apparently it's like one of the first CGI things they did. It's used very sparingly. like with all CGI, when it is used, it stands out like a sore thumb and it doesn't look real. Now, who's to say that those rubber monsters looked real, but they looked like they were really there. And my problem with CGI is that still 90% of the time, it doesn't look like it's physically in the same space as everybody else. So luckily it was used very, very minimally. So whatever. It's like when occasionally movies would use stop motion once in a while, and it would just feel like, that seems a little weird, but you know, hey, I'm taking this as part of the movie. So really fun, funny. I did laugh out loud at one point. There's some good gags in it, and it's a good time. So, what are the extras on this? And I will say, I did look at the 4K and the Blu-ray. To me, the 4K didn't have much of an edge for this. Sometimes they're sharper, they look better. To my eye and on my setup, which is a pretty good setup for what it is, I didn't really see a difference. So if you've got a 4K set and a 4K player and you love Tremors 2, I might as well get the 4K. But if you're on the fence and you don't want to spend the extra, or you're not quite sure, to my eye, the contents on both editions are the same. To my eye, the Blu-ray looked basically the same as the 4K, probably down to the fact that the movie was not wildly dynamically shot. It's not using amazing, interesting lighting. It's not very colorful. It was a speedily shot straight to video movie. Honestly, I was surprised that they were even able to do a 4K of something like this, presuming that it was all edited on video, and how would you do that? And they don't really get into that in this, and I do wonder if they had to go back, like with Star Trek The Next Generation when it came out on Blu-ray, they had to go back and recreate all the special effects and all the titles because they were all done standard def for video, in video, and other things like that in that era. Like, they only exist as whatever resolution video master they made at the time. So anyway, it looks and sounds great. Extras: commentary by S.S. Wilson and Nancy Roberts. Commentary by Jonathan Melville, author of a book on the Tremors series. I get excited when I talk about the Tremors series. Graboid Go Boom with Peter Chesney. It's a new interview with special effects designer and second unit director about the making of Tremors 2. That's 20 minutes. Critical Need to Know information with Phil Tippett. It's a new interview with Tippett looking back at the CGI effects for this film, which was one of the first that his company did in the digital world. That was 7 minutes. Making of Tremors 2, it's 9 minutes. It's a vintage promo that was done for Universal Home Video. It looks like it was pulled from a VHS tape, maybe a Laserdisc. Outtakes are 8 minutes. That was, again, from like an old work print kind of doopy videotape with the time code and everything. That's 4x3 time code video, 8 minutes. And trailers for Tremors and Tremors 2 trailers 4x3, because that's how it was originally released. I think it was released on it was released on tape, and I think they show a Laserdisc in here too, or maybe even a DVD at the time. So maybe, what they present here is widescreen, and I was thinking about that too. Compositions all looked good to me, so maybe it was always shot with multiple ratios in mind so that however you ran it would look good. Then there's a 100 image gallery. It is extensive, with production photos, release graphics, character design sketches, behind the scenes storyboards. It was really cool, down to looking at the character design sketches and the little arrows and saying, maybe we can do this and maybe it can work that way. So this is a really good set. If you're a fan of Tremors, I would highly recommend Tremors 2. If you're a fan of Tremors 2, there's never been a better release of Tremors 2. Available on Blu-ray, 4K UHD and or Blu-ray from Arrow Home Video. Tremors 2, AFTERSHOCKS.